Good evening, viewers, and welcome then to this, I should say, Tier 3 sprint social race around Zandvoort, but it's not exactly a Tier 3 race today, with over half the grid. About 11 drivers, I think, tonight made up of Tier 3 drivers, and the rest Tier 2, and a couple of Tier 1 drivers in there as well. It's the sprint format today. It's the second social I think we've done in this new sprint format, which is now a thing obviously on the new game. And once again, of course, I'm joined by my trusty co-commentator TJM 1992. Fantastic to have you here again once again, TJ. And as I mentioned, it's a pretty mixed up grid. Of course, it's my first time commentating around Zandvoort. I think because we've got the game volume very handily coming through your mic there, giving us a little bit of an echo. So I'm not too sure, obviously, on this track specifically, where to watch out for. I know there's a couple of corners where drivers can very, very easily lose the back end, especially on this new game for this season. But I know you've done a couple of races around here before, so just go on and tell us where we should be looking out for then during qualifying in the race.
Yeah, pleasure joining you again in the commentary box, Biddle. So points to watch out for. Once again, we're very professional and we don't know the actual corners, so I'll just try and briefly explain various sectors. So the first one is Sector 1. Well, as you come out of Sector 1, to be honest, you've got the long right-hander where the rear can step out on you, so drivers got to be careful there. The next probably pain point is at the end as you come through or start Sector 3. You've got a very tight right left-hander. Once again, the car can get loose on you there, and you've also got the final set corners where it's two pretty quick corners. The first one you hit the curve on the previous game, you spin it, and then as you continue round, you put too much steering lock into the banked right-hander. The back end will go on you as well.
Yeah, no, as I mentioned as well with this game as well, where traction is so key. Seeing drivers struggle in all those areas that you've just mentioned. One driver that is on an outlap, not on an outlap, I should say on a hot lap, as it is in the Williams, is Diamond at the moment. He will be the first driver to put a time on the board for us, coming down to the end of Sector 2 now. And I know these cars are much slower than last season's cars, TJ, but in terms of lap time, I think Diamond's lap seemed a little bit cautious in this opening part of qualifying. Of course, with the full grid, we will lose 5 drivers through to the second part of qualifying, and a lovely tow here in a 1:12.2. In terms of lap time, TJ, what are we kind of looking at based on what we've seen from Diamond there to get yourself through to Q2?
Truly, I don't know. As you say, these cars are slower. I haven't actually raced this track in this game, so I don't know what a decent time is. I do imagine that time from Diamond is a little bit more on the cautious side. Although looking at the time set, Nigel Pickle's only 10th behind him. Adrian is out.
Adrian's out. I should mention actually, we don't do full qualifying with a sprint race. we've both been waffling on there about full qualifying. You don't get full qualifying with a sprint race, at least in FPRL. You do in the real world anyway. But of course, just a short qualifying into that sprint race, which will set the grid for the main race, which will follow shortly afterwards as well. How many laps is it, TJ, the sprint and the feature?
The sprint is 12 laps, the feature is 36.
Not very long in that sprint race at all to make up positions. Nigel Pickles had a bit of a moment with a Mercedes there. I think it was Panic End. It is not Panic End. It was Revengezilla. And they're both coming together. Nigel Pickle has carried on. So, of course, this is now all for position for the start of that sprint race. And the sprint race format, TJ, I know we've earmarked a couple of weekends for the main league to run it this season. Do you like the format of the sprint race? I mean, I know it provides a little bit something different. Perhaps some of the drivers that aren't strong over a single lap to do something a little bit different for the main race. But, I mean, do you think, as opposed to the traditional format, we will see some surprises?
Yeah, I think so. As you say, some people aren't strong qualifiers. They've got a better race pace than others. So the guys that do unfortunately qualify high, they've got a chance in the sprint race to put their head down and just try and bomb around the track to make some positions up. On the flip side of that as well, some of the quicker guys that might be prone to dropping the car and DNFing themselves. You DNF yourself in the sprint race, you start at the back for the main race. So there is going to be definitely some surprises in this sort of format, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
A 112.2 from Snedden there puts him into P3 for the start of that sprint race. Magsy currently on provisional pole for the sprint. 111.9 from him, the only driver to make it into the 111 so far. We've got many drivers going very slowly around the track. Not too sure what's going on there. But they will need to get a flying lap in, of course. There's about 11 minutes now left of the session in this single qualifying session. As I mentioned, it is currently Magsy on that provisional pole at the moment from Diamond's 112.2. And here comes Silverside Boy then looking to start a flying lap now in the AlphaTauri then, TJ. And give us a whirl on Silverside Boy's lap and give us your best description on how well he takes these few corners in sectors 1 and 2.
Yep, so he's taken them pretty well there, kept his foot on the throttle with the curve, going on this bounce corner again, took that very well, kissed apex on the way round, put down straight to the floor. Looks like he's got very good traction on the back of that AlphaTauri currently. Very key here, shifts the car down. Car's very much planted to the ground, although it looks like a bit of a snap coming out the exit there. Once again taking curbs and kissing apexes as you expect. I mean, the car at the moment, Silverside Boy's got a fantastic setup on. It's planted and not squealing around like we've seen some other drivers do. As he opens his DRS wide open, he has got his DRS light flashing. This looks like it's a second push lap, so we'll see if he gets enough towards the end. But once again, it's been nice and clean from the AlphaTauri driver. Kissing all the apexes. Decides to not take any curb there, which is interesting. But foot to the floor, DRS wide open. And let's see if he manages to improve. Improves by 7 tenths. I mean, I don't know about you, Biddle, but that car looks very planted to the ground.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. good traction out of those corners, Silverside Boy. But still could only muster up a 113 at 0 then. P10 at the moment for the AlphaTauri. P10 and 11 for the AlphaTauri team. At the moment, Silverside Boy, LWS Yorkie currently, and now they're down to the 6th row. As it was an improvement by someone across, I think it was I'm Not Good, into P8 then. And they've got a 5-second grid penalty then. For Fish Sticks with a collision with CRF1 locker. Not too sure what happened there. Don't think you saw it either, TJ. Fish Sticks currently P2 at the moment. So that will mean I'm pretty sure he'll serve that in the sprint as opposed to the main race. So he'll probably be in 7th if the drivers finish where they are now for the sprint race. But I imagine. I don't know if that was a legitimate penalty issued or whether it was something a little bit untoward by the game there. We know this game is not so perfect at the moment. A bit of work to be done over the first couple of months from people that have seen the previous social races. And a great lap by Nigel Piggle then. We were riding with that at 111.5 then. Perhaps underlying then just how great his pace is at the moment. And yeah, I know Nigel Piggle is missing a few of the races at the start of the season, but many tipping him to be a really fast driver in Tier 2. And do you think he can compete for wins this season? Considering he was in Tier 3 last season, but obviously made that promotion this time round.
Yeah, definitely. Nigel's been the one to watch during the social races we had previously and through some of the 5-lappers, and he's always been up there with these new cars. He's really suited his driving style. Some have even potentially said that if he wasn't missing the first couple of races, that he could have potentially been in Tier 1.
Yeah, there is that possibility. He has shown that pace early on, and there is, as I mentioned, a couple of Tier 1 drivers in here at the moment. Brookie Min springs to mind as well. I know Snedden was earmarked for Tier 1, but he's going to be in Tier 2 next season after a bit of protesting on his side, I hear, so he's going to remain in Tier 2. But if those are good barometers to go off, of course, we're yet to see the best of Brookie Min's pace. 3 minutes 58. Not sure what he was doing that lap, but we'll see if he can improve, which I'm sure he can before the end of the session. As he's choosing to start from the back, of course, then Cruiser, his teammate, crosses the line. A 112.3 from him. P8 at the moment. Not a bad time from Tier 3's newest recruit. And he will then look to do a cool down, come into the pit. Snedden's had a moment. Sector 2 is backwards at the moment. Don't know if he was improving on his time, but he definitely won't be now. And he'll be back into the pit shortly for a new set of boots as well. Then Revengezilla popped up into P4 with a 112.1. Good lap from him. Still 6/10 shy though of Nigel Pickle, of course, but he has got much better race pace we've seen in socials so far, TJ. And I think he is an example of a driver that will benefit them from this sprint format as opposed to the standard full qualifying.
Yeah, definitely. As you mentioned, I've mentioned that the lads that don't necessarily qualify well, but got fantastic race pace. That the sprint races will suit their style. You don't have to have a managed pit stop in a sprint race. You either risk going on set softs or set mediums, depending on the track, and you basically just keep your head down and try to keep it clean and make them positions up.
Yeah, and of course we'll see whether that rings true then very shortly, in just over 6.5 minutes time. At the moment we're riding on board with Tiddlewink at the moment. Tier 2 provisioning players for this upcoming season. Surprised me when I learned that he was in Tier 2, so I always thought he was in Tier 3 for some reason, but he crosses the line now to put me to shame and goes P10 then with a 112.6, and so in the top 10 for Tiddlewink at the moment, and that's row 5 then for the start of the sprint as it stands. Panic N now on a flying lap as well. We know Panic N's got a bit of pace, TJ, but I feel like he's a driver that's very track specific with his pace. I know he can really fight up with the podium positions in Tier 3 last season. He's in Tier 3 this time around as well, and he's struggling at the moment. P13, let's just see this split through Sector 2. He has improved by 2/10, TJ, but he'd have a little bit more pace in that Mercedes today.
Yeah, definitely. As you said, last season we saw him fighting for podiums on some tracks, and other tracks he wasn't quite there. And I think that's the way it goes. Some drivers as well. Every driver has the best set of tracks. Some drivers prefer the open fast tracks. Some drivers prefer these tight, corner street circuit types of tracks. And obviously, this sort of track just doesn't suit Panic N's driving ability.
Definitely not, but the times are flooding in thick and fast, and Johnny Vaines definitely put a marker down for the rest of the field there. 111.3, definitely acclimatised to this circuit then. Rookie finally got a lap on the board that was a bit better than a 2 minutes 58. 111.6 of him to take P3 at the moment, and Silverside Boy also improved there with a 112.0. We're riding with Force Manure then. And of course, FPRL Furniture at this point. He has been in the league a very long time, and we thank him for his loyalty, of course. Crosses the line to pit David Longface then to P16 with a 113.4. Nothing to be sniffed at there. Improving over FPR Locker, who I know has had a little bit of inexperience on the game at the moment. And DTF1 Days, of course, who got that memorable podium, TJ, on his debut in Brazil last season. He was very happy with that one, and perhaps looking then to carry that pace into this season as well, if he can get a time on the board. Then 4 minutes to go at the moment, TJ, and I imagine a lot of the drivers now will be in the pits to put their final set of tyres on and go for that flying run.
Yeah, definitely. I imagine everyone will be doing that. There's a couple of drivers out of sync currently, but I don't think that'll affect it. Again though, we've got Fish Sticks, Sned and Yorkie. I'm not good, and David Lawface on an outlap, so they're out of sync compared to the rest. So we'll have to wait for what we do. I think Snedden was the first one that was coming out on a lap, I believe.
Yep, Snedden on a flying lap then, as well as Revengezilla and LWS Yorkie at the moment. And let's see if Snedden can improve. We have just seen an improvement from FPR Locker then, from P18 up to P8. Looks like Snedden might have bailed out his lap. He has indeed then. Let's see what those other drivers are doing that are on a fast lap at the moment. And Revengezilla through Sector 1, negotiating that tough left-handed hairpin nicely. But he's also 2 seconds down on his time then, TJ. Not improving on that run either. And there's not a lot of drivers out there that are improving at the moment.
No, I'm on board with Fish Sticks currently, and he's just improved by just under a tenth through Sector 1, so we'll see what he does going through Sector 2. He's keeping it nice and clean currently. He's taking a bit more curb than we saw what Silverside Boy was, so obviously feeling a bit more risky. Once again, Kiss Apex coming out of the corner there, DRS wide open. See if he's made any time for Sector 2. Yeah, his mate is half a second up on his time, so Fish Sticks is finding pace here.
Yeah, and as we were just riding with LWS Yorkie there, he's just improved to go P2 then, just shy of Johnny Vane by just over 700ths of a second. Then we'll put back to Fish Sticks, who TJ said was improving then from that P8, puts the time on the board. It's P6 for him now, 111.7, a couple of tenths up on his previous time. But Johnny Vane really did find pace in Tier 2 last season, towards the end of the season as well. He definitely found something compared to Season 2, and perhaps with Season 4, TJ, he's going to prove a bit of a threat in Tier 2 this season.
Yeah, definitely. As you mentioned, he took that break away from the league, come back, and yeah, towards the end he was rapid and always up in the top 5. So yeah, he's definitely a contender for this season in Tier 2.
Let's see who else on our lap now. Then we've got Brookman coming through Sector 1 on a fly. He's got a bit of traffic ahead of him. The Alpine gets out of the way after crossing the track. He's 2 tenths up at the moment, and surely a contender for pole for this sprint race. 1 minute 30 left on the clock then. So if he is taking this as his push lap, he will not improve. He will not get another chance, I should say, to go round again. Of course, we all know that for this game, you really do only get 1 push lap. And he's coming now through to Sector 2. He's getting a little bit of a tow from the McLaren ahead of him. Let's see what the delta is here. Half a second up then, so this is enough at the moment from the young Scot in that Haas. He's back from holiday. Yesterday, I think it was. Jumped straight back into F1. Had a few days off. There's a Ferrari in the wall there, making a meal out of the tyre barrier on the inside there. But Brookie Min is trying to get every bit of drag that he can and crosses the line. And it is then. Provisional pole at 110.9. Absolutely fantastic time from him there, and does improve then to take that provisional pole by about 3.5 tenths. Let's see if anyone else can challenge him at the moment. I know Johnny Vane's just started his flying lap. We've got Nigel Piggle at the moment coming around Sector 1 as well. Is there anyone else out there, TJ, that could improve?
I am going to put down the grid currently. Mike's isn't going to improve. A lot of these drivers, I think, have mistakes during the lap, so there's not really anyone improving. Although, no, that's Locker's currently improved as well, and his lap is nearly 2 tenths off.
Revenge Zilla then did improve, but his lap was invalid then. So I'm just wondering if he is going to take this extra lap here and push again. Yellow flag out. I think there's a bit of traffic building up in these final runs, of course, with all the drivers on track at the moment, bar 1. And he is slightly down through Sector 1 then, so it is down to Johnny Vane. What has his lap been like, TJ? Have you been watching this lap?
Yeah, he's matching his pace. He hasn't improved in any sector so far. He is only a 10th down each time for your sectors, so we'll see what he does here. And yeah, finishes 2 tenths down.
We've got Revengela then P4 at the moment, and he's only up by 300ths of a second. He needs a belter of a final sector if he wants to get ahead of Johnny Vane or LWS Yorkie then in P2 and 3 at the moment. Maxi Nigel Piggle peel into the pit lane then. And what has Revengela got through this final sector then? He's going to come up and over the line now. And it's enough for P3 then. Does put in a good final sector and pushes LWS Yorkie down then into P3. Great time from him there. I think he'll be very pleased with that one, to be only a few hundredths shy there as well of Johnny Vane's time. That is everyone's lap then. We didn't see much improvement there at the end of the session, apart from that lap from Revengela and of course that stonker from Brookie Min.
Yeah, fantastic. Brookie proving why he's in the highest tier of the league, and though even though he's had that week away, he's come back and it's as if he never went away.
Yep, absolutely fantastic. And I think many people's prediction for pole position has come true. Should be said that, of course, he is the only official Tier 1 driver in the field. I know I mentioned about Snedden provisionally being Tier 1, but is Tier 2 for next season. For some reason, it's going to be a lovely onboard. Obviously, look at his 3rd place there. That's nice. But there is your classification then for the short qualifying that we have to set the grid, as I mentioned, for the sprint race, which will follow very shortly. Brookie Min will be on pole position for that sprint race. Johnny Vane alongside him on the front row. Revengula P3, LW Shorky P4, Maxi P5. Great effort from him in Tier 3 this season. A fantastic time, really, to go P5. Just tenths off some of the drivers that are expected to be in the front of Tier 2. To the wing in P7, Nigel Piggle P6, Fishsticks P8, but will serve that 5-place grid penalty then. Snedden, who I think a lot of people are saying he's got a few sandbags in that Aston Martin this evening. P9 from him, and rounding off the top 10 then Cruiser for the Haas team. Some disappointing drivers in the bottom 10 there, TJ. I know Silverside Boy definitely would have been wanting to do better, and there's a few more names as well. Do you think the drivers have struggled to get the lap in there with the amount of drivers on the circuit?
Yeah, I think so. As you mentioned, there was a lot of traffic everywhere, and I think even though the cars can follow closely this year, on a track like this, you really don't want to car in front of you going through some of these fast, tight corners.
We are very quickly into the next session, and of course we will hope that nobody presses that A button at the start of this session to give the host time to obviously dictate when we will get underway here, and this gives us a great opportunity to go to our Twitch chat then, of course, if I can find it. There we go. Oh, it's completely empty for me. I think there was a few people in there, TJ. I think there's a message from F1 Connor in there asking if the sprint race was today. It is now.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
I'm not going there saying he's not having fun with his wheel. The wheel's deciding to shift up and down when it feels like. Cruiser's chuffed with his lap. Tiddlewink saying he could have gone a second. He went a second quick and felt like he had more. Nigel saying double warm-up laps ain't the way to go, lads.
Yeah, I did notice that, to be fair. A couple of the drivers were taking a couple of laps to get those tyres up to temperature, perhaps burn off a little bit of fuel then, and so clearly a bit of intel there for the rest of the drivers. Double warm-up laps did not work in drivers' favour, and that's perhaps why we saw few drivers improving on those late runs there.
Adrian's become the clown of the night, saying that he belongs in Tier 3.
Well, that doesn't even dignify a response. That does. This does not dignify any response there to that one. Everyone saw what he managed last season in Tier 3, of course. Worth pointing out, of course, this sprint feature whilst it's not new to the world of the real world F1, it was very much in last season's regulations. It is new for the game this season then, so I think the distance is about a third, isn't it, TJ, as opposed to a full race distance, of course. And we're not expecting any pit stops here, but do you think we'll see drivers switch it up between the soft and the mediums?
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be a tight choice for the drivers here. The softs this year are degrading pretty quick. So I think drivers will be debating whether they want that quicker start for the first couple of laps and then struggle towards the end, or whether they want the mediums that take a lap or two to really come into it, but will give you the advantage towards the end. And I think that's what the drivers will have to debate on this one. I can't see anyone taking the hard tyres in this. If anyone does, I mean, they need a good think and they debate their own life at this point.
To pay the roller. You can have a long, hard look in the mirror if you're choosing the hard tyres for this sprint race. Yeah, soft on mediums we're expecting to see, of course, over this third race distance. We have kind of timed it where it should take as long as a full qualifying, of course, before that full race later on. We did do a sprint race around Miami a couple of weeks ago when the game first came out. That was mildly successful, I think. I think some drivers enjoyed it more than others, but you never know. Adrian in the chat now saying, haven't touched the game for a while and hate this track. I heard wet tyres are the way to go. Well, I think I can see a cloud or two, so he might be making a bold prediction there, but you know, interesting choice from him there. Collateral Lad says, Gary is a ringer. Okay. Nice. That's great. Whoever Gary is, no one has any idea who Gary is, of course. On the grid, we're waiting a long time to get going here, aren't we, for this sprint race?
Yeah.
Like a beige to be talking away here. Nigel Biggle says, I saw you crash, Adrian. Looked a bit fishy. Ooh dear. We've got some allegations. There we go. The timer's going on the top of the screen. Got some allegations there, TJ, of a bit of a race fixing. Adrian at the back of the grid, of course. In qualifying, F1 Connor says, "How are these amazing commentators doing, lads?" I'm all right.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm
Not
good.
bad. I've been better, been worse. So, I'm ready to get going though. So thank God someone's pressed A. Nigel Pickles said apparently I got a strip around last weekend.
That's news to
I
me.
don't think I did. I did. Someone else wants to pay. Go ahead.
Fair play if you did, mate. But Jesus, that's a wild accusation there.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I did, but it is news to me. Anyway, TJ, let's get back to the race at hand. We have got different tyre compounds as we suspected them. So LWS Yorkie, Fish Sticks, Mongo, David Lawface and Adrian all choosing the soft compound tyres. The other 15 going for the mediums then. And clearly the majority of the field feeling that the mediums are the way to go, teacher. And do you know what? With 12 laps around here, I can't fault them because I know that the soft tyres just seem to degrade so quickly in this game, no matter what track you're at.
Yeah, the soft tyres in this game are literally your quality tyres, or a very quick burst towards the end of the race if there's a safety car, or if you want to do an alternate strategy. But yeah, I definitely wouldn't be going on the softs 12 laps around here.
No, well, perhaps they're hoping for some safety cars there to extend that tyre life. Of course, we do have the opportunity for a safety car in this sprint race then. But we did go through the top 10 of the classification last time, so the bottom 10 for the start of this race then: Silverside Boy, Diamond, FPR Locker, Panic End, I'm Not Good, Mongo, Force Manure, DTF1 Days, who might be a little bit disappointed to be starting down in 18th place, David Lawface, and Adrian then, who we saw crash in qualifying, rounding off the back of the grid. And of course, as you would have seen all last week and social race we had before that, new feature for this game, we're going to get to watch 20 of what we should say esports' best drivers line up on the grid here. See how many get disqualified as they line up into the pit box here. I'll be amazed if it's none. Absolutely amazed. But of course, you get to park yourself in the grid box. I like this feature, TJ. I like to be able to angle the car against the guy in second place and cover it up. Let's see how. Look at this one, Brookie me. Oh, there we go. He's been disqualified. Yeah, there we go. That's, as I said, yeah. Just a few getting disqualified.
Oh my god.
Anyway, we've got Adrian then to bring up the rear of the field, leaving it a little bit late then, trying to get a bit more into those tyres. We've got a fantastic view of 20 cars, bunders here on the pit straight. Everyone nowhere near in line, but that is how you can do it on this game. Of course, we are going to get 5 red lights then for this sprint race around Zandvoort. And it's lights out and away we go then. And it is Brookieman who gets us away very cleanly away from Johnny Vane. Bit of blocking down there, I think, for York. He's been sandwiched between Nigel Piggle and Revenge. It looks like they've all got away cleanly so far, to say the least. No yellow flags. But it is Brookie who has held the lead from the start, and now there's contact for LWS York, who's fallen right to the back of the field.
Yeah, he's got no damage by looks of it, but on them soft tyres back of the grid, that's pretty much his race over now, I'd say.
And of course, that is a problem with these sprint races. If you go bold at the start, he's now going to start the main race right at the back. It's not worked out in his favour at all. But let's see if he can make some positions up before the end of this race. The question is, TJ, is Johnny Vane, Nigel Piggle or Revenge going to have an answer here for Brookieman's pace at the front? He's already pulled out a second nearly at the end of the first lap. Of course, no DRS until the end of lap 2, but going off qualifying pace to say the least, we should be expecting Brookieman to surely pull out at the front.
Yeah, definitely. I think the battle is going to be between Johnny Vane, Nigel, and Revenge of the remaining 2 steps. It's going to take a lot for someone to knock Brookieman off that top step.
Yeah, and Johnny Vane very nearly a second out. He has just trickled outside of a second then, so imagine at the end of this lap, Johnny Vane will be over a second back. At the moment then, Yorkie's already making up places. He's made up a couple of places. I'm Not Good into the pits. TTF1 Days down to 19. And actually, I'm Not Good choosing to retire in the pits and not wishing to take any more part in this social race and this fight, of course, going on all up and down the field at the moment. The two Aston Martins currently bottled between Magsy and FPR Locker in the I should say, sorry, the Alfa Romeos at the moment, as I saw a driver very nicely take out the braking board there on the exit. I think it was turn 6, so that's going to go down very well with a couple of drivers. I know it's a sore spot, the braking boards, but yeah, sometimes they just get taken out and it happens. You can't trust drivers these days, TJ, to not make contact with any of the braking boards around here, of course.
No, it is hard in these cars, especially if you go a bit deep. It is hard to try and put it back on track, and drivers obviously don't intentionally take them out, but yeah, so someone's not going to be happy with the fact that that's already gone.
No, when we are at the end of lap 2, of course, the DRS is now active then, and Johnny Vane, as predicted, has fallen outside of that DRS by a second. But more interestingly, Revengezilla then struggling to keep in the DRS of Johnny Vane at the moment. But I think the DRS in this game, TJ, it offers little benefit as opposed to previous games. I don't find that you make up a lot of time with that DRS at all, really.
No, the only time I've been able to make any time up was if you absolutely rid GRS along with DRS. But as people might know, that your ERS in this game is so hard to recover.
Yep, and of course we can take a look at that. If I turn on the telemetry, there we go. Gets in the way of the driver's lucky steering wheels though. 7 already down to 50%. Max doing a little bit better at the moment, trying to preserve that 5th place, of course. In the league, when we do run this format, drivers 1 to 8 will of course all get a point per place. So you'll get 8 if you're in P1. 7 if you're in P2 and so forth, as I'm sure everybody knows. Of course it means nothing today, but you get a little bit of pride, of course, for taking the win in the sprint race. And Revengezilla then looking to try and make a little bit of movement on Johnny Vane, and has got back within that DRS window. And then we've had Snedden unfortunately leave the session, which meant his teammate Tiddlewink has now got ahead of him and is now pressing the back of Magsy then. But that might be the best thing for the Aston Martin team there. Snedden unable to make inroads against Magsy, but Tiddlewink all over the back of the Alfa Romeo now. Yeah,
yes, as you mentioned, Snedden couldn't do much. Tiddlewink has been showing a bit of pace recently, so let's see what he can do here. I do believe he is trying the ABS. I don't know if he's continued on with that, but he has been trying to take the anti-brake lock off, and yeah, he isn't locking up from my point of view, but I don't know if he's got it on or off.
He's doing a stellar job at the moment anyway in P6, just ahead of his teammate, as I mentioned, who has now fallen off the back of Tiddlewink, with the AI taking over, of course, and he is creating a huge train behind him, which we're watching at the moment, then headed by FPR Locker at the moment, then who's going to look, of course, to get past Snedden as soon as possible, most likely down this straight. He's already alongside, and perhaps even Cruiser behind him might look to make a move into turn 1, and he has indeed gone up the inside. Then Cruiser looking to get past the AI Snedden, and has done there, so double overtake to compound Snedden's misery when he gets back into this race.
Yeah, it's unfortunate from Aston Martin driver, but I think he's got the pace to get them positions back when he takes his car. The rookie Mem must have had an issue, because that gap between him and Johnny Vane dropped, and Johnny Vane got DRS in the last time round.
Yeah, so Johnny Vane then perhaps looking to come back at Brookimian, who's out in front at the moment and was out that DRS, and as you pointed out, TJ, until about the most recent lap, nearly at half distance of this sprint race. Currently, you can see on the left-hand side of your screen there, the big gainers and losers, of course, from this sprint race. And LWS Yorkie losing 13 places. We'll be very disappointed with that after his strong showing in qualifying. Unable to make massive inroads here. And FPR Locker and Adrian both taking up 6 places. So great sprint race so far for them.
Yeah, I expected Adrian to make places up as long as he keeps on track, and he has shown that. But them soft tyres are probably points, so constantly making much more better positions. So yeah, Locker. We saw some quick pace from Locker last season, but it's also dropped off towards the back end of last season. So it's good to see him that he is pushing again, as Fish takes at the moment.
Yeah, Fish is dropping down into 18. Looks like he dropped it on his own accord. Doesn't look like he had contact with anybody there on the exit of turn 1. Very easily done, but he is now down in 19th place, and looking like he's going to be starting very high for the main race, which is going to follow in just 6 laps time then. Actually doing very well at holding on to P5 at the moment. In fact, he is able to hold on to the back of this front pack as well. Not quite in the DRS zone as Nigel Piggle is, though, looking to have a bit of a sniff up the inside of the Mercedes ahead of him, with Vengilla, who's held that 3rd place since the start. Nigel Piggle only qualifying P6, and he's already made up 2 places, TJ, and now he's pushing to get in the top 3 for the start of that race, which is coming very shortly.
Yeah, he's showing he's got the pace again, and why we called him out in qualifying. I just again putting the perfect angle. Here we go, here he is. Vengeance doing a fantastic job looking him down, but he hasn't that DRS assistance from Junior Vane. There is a bit of a mini DRS trim between these top 4. Rookie men does just keep dropping like that ever so slightly and giving DRS to Junior Vane. So perhaps Junior Vane's got the better base setup and protects them tyres a little bit better.
Yeah, well, it's all going off up front, and it's all going off here between Cruiser and Silverside Boy then. So Silverside Boy's had enough of sitting behind the Haas and trying to throw it up the inside of turn 3. Didn't quite make it stick. And Cruiser made a fantastic defence around the outside and has managed to hold on to that 8th place for now. But that AlphaTauri is getting very upset following that Haas car, and he's going to look to try and make a move as quickly as he can. But as you said, TJ, it's so planted, and look at that in the traction zone. Gets a much better drive there against Cruiser and into 8th place, and does get the assistance of the DRS, but had the move done before he even had it open. Great pass by Silverside Boy there. Now can he make inroads on the likes of Locker and Tiddlewink just ahead of him? Locker has dropped 3.6 seconds off Tiddlewink, now the top 6, so looking like it's going to be difficult to get anywhere near the top 6 by the end of this sprint race. But anything's on the cards, of course. We haven't seen anyone put it in the wall yet, and we haven't seen a safety car, most importantly, and I don't think we will now with only 4 laps to go.
No, I don't think we will either. I'm just looking on the grid to see up people's ERSs, and as expected, majority of people have got less than 25%, and it's just proving that getting the ERS back is so difficult in this game. The only person that is managing it very well is Force Manure, who's at 70%.
Yeah, Force Manure not doing too badly at the moment, down in 16th. He's dropped David Allface and DTF1 Days at the moment, and he's not too far off the back of Panic End either. So perhaps looking to try and close up to the back of that Mercedes and nab an extra place on that starting grid later on. Then Nigel Piggle still on the back of Revengilla, the top 4, still very closely matched at the moment in terms of pace. I didn't expect this at all. I don't think many people did. I think everyone was expecting Rookie Min to romp off into the distance. That hasn't happened, and Juddy Vane's kept him very honest. If anything, TJ, this is going to prove very exciting for the main race, which is going to follow very shortly.
Yeah, it is. As you mentioned, I wasn't expecting it to be this close between the top 4, and they're putting a really good show on here. And hopefully they keep it nice and clean in the feature race. And I don't know, maybe we'll have more try and ultimate strategy to try and gain a few positions from the get-go.
Definitely. And of course, for that main race, which is coming, they will be able to choose any tyre compound they like to start that race. There is no restriction on that, so we might see, as you mentioned, the alternate strategy. I feel like the soft tyre runners are struggling a bit slightly now. Adrian is the highest of them in P11 at the moment, but the likes of Mongo Yorkie and David Lawface haven't made the inroads they would have wanted to with that alternate strategy. So at the moment the top 10 are all on that medium tyre, but Adrian's going to try and change that very shortly and try and get a move done on Cruiser. We're watching Silverside Boy at the moment all over the back of FPR Lock and getting very much nearly too close to the back of that Alfa Romeo, but does avoid contact in the end and carries on behind him at the moment, TJ. But out in front, we've seen this fight now for a while. Max is now close up to the back of Nigel Piggle. He's within the DRS zone as well. Why aren't we seeing overtakes? Is that just a circuit limitation, or is it genuinely just they can't find a difference in them because they're all running the same tyre?
I think it's just because of the circuit. We've all got no DRS practically, and the DRS isn't very powerful as you already covered. And this track, there's only really one main overtaking spot, which is the main straight going into turn one. The rest, you're just really trying to follow and try and stick to the back to the car in front of you, and hope you get better traction on that final corner.
And it's amazing. Oh, Silverside Boy catches a very big slide there. The traction on that time. Yeah, definitely. He was almost round in a spin, and that would have been absolutely devastating for him. He would have fell right to the back of the queue. And started very low down for the main race, but did well to hold it anyway. The Nigel Pickle's getting very close to the back of Revengula now, still getting that DRS from the driver in front. And look at them all trying to get the toe hit, TJ, down into turn one. But the difference, as you mentioned, in the DRS is Revengula's going to make a move then for P2 at the inside of Johnny Vane. Avoids clipping that rear tyre, which is so easily done there. Great racing between the pair of them, but yeah, Revengula perhaps the best move that we've seen out of these front four. Just couldn't quite get it to come off there.
Yeah, that's a shame. His DRS definitely impacted him there. He's had a bit more, I reckon he could have got the move done. But yeah, once again, he's proven that was the only spot really to make the overtake. It is a case of trying to follow it through. Maybe if he sticks close enough, he can try it in the second DRS zone, but it's not a long straight. You have to get the move done really early, or try a very late move, which we'll see very shortly. Although Nigel's along the back of Revenge coming out of the corner, but has little moments. Yeah, he's got the whole position down to this corner. And the driver's going to have one more attempt to try and get a move done on this final lap.
Yeah, he's really punishing the traction zone there. Could not put the power down quick enough, and that really hampered him towards the end of that little straight there, and he wasn't able to make a move on Revengula, as you mentioned though. But Johnny Vane's done well to keep a bit of ERS in the tank. Then can he use it to defend now against Revengula? He can indeed, and he holds that P2 round onto the final lap there. And doesn't look like we're going to get any change in position here at the front, unfortunately. But as I mentioned, the four of them running so close at the moment, it puts us in good stead for the main race, which is going to be getting started at the end of this lap. It is Brookiemin though who has led from start to finish really here, and I think many people did predict that, but I don't think many people predicted how close this four would be to him. So it isn't all said and done for the main race, but definitely it is in the sprints anyway. Then I think Panic Ken had a moment on the previous lap. TJ, he's down to 16th now, giving Thorsten Manure in extra place, then who will start in P14. LWS Yorkie hasn't been able to recover from spinning on that opening lap. He's only in P13, starting 4th in this sprint. But as I mentioned, it is Brookie Min, and I think as many people predicted, it is Brookie Min. The young Scot coming around the final corner then, crossing the line, emptying the tank of battery, and taking the sprint race win then from Johnny Vane in P2, Revengula P3, Nigel Piggle P4, Maxi P5. Tiddlewick crosses the line, great showing from him in P6. And FPR Locker is going to be closely followed by Silverside Boy and Diamond, 7, 8 and 9. And Adrian did manage to get into the top 10 then on those soft tyres. Great race from him, great recovery then from 20th place. He'll start the main race from 10. It's Cruiser Snedden who had a very anonymous sprint race there, should be said, TJ. Only P12 and 5.6 off the back of Cruiser in P12. LWS Yorkie, Thorsten Manure, David Longface, Panikin, DTF1 Days, and Mongo then, who runs off the back of the field. And that, TJ, is going to hopefully put us in good stead for an exciting main race.
Yeah, definitely. I'm really looking forward to this now, and the top 5, I'm going to say. I mean, Brookie Min only really started pulling right towards the end there. The top 5 are going to put a really good show on here, I think.
There is your classification on the top 3 for that race. Min, Johnny Vane, and Revengula, of course. I don't think we'll get a picture of Brookie Min in that bush that you have to put around your neck and go on a tour of the track with, but he does get the win. He doesn't quite get a trophy, but he does get a bush. He wants a bush at some point. As I said, there's the points anyway for the main league. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's how we will run it. So that is the points the drivers will get. So yeah, points do count, of course, in the sprint race, TJ. And I think we're only running 3 sprint races for this season. I can't quite remember the tracks off the top of my head. I think it's somewhere. Four.
We're doing Spain, Austria, Monza, and Brazil.
Yep, so some very good tracks in for some very exciting sprint races. Hopefully, when we run them, as I mentioned, there is points available for the main league when it gets underway. I'm going to quickly go and relieve myself of my duties. TJ, you might want to do that as well because we're in for a long, for a long race now.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So I'll be back very shortly. I'll leave you in the obviously capable hands of TJM.
Yep, thanks, Biddle. So yeah, as a drivers, all now set strategies for the main race. Wouldn't expect either soft tyres here. It is going to be medium hard or hard mediums. Maybe some will try to do a two-stopper. I don't know what the advantages of doing that. But we will wait and see if there's anyone that's going to try a two-stopper. Maybe the undercut will work, but you've got to think about them cold tyres potentially, as the host has decided to go. Isn't waiting around this time. So we'll wait to see what the drivers are as they will go back around again for formation lap, where the drivers will line themselves up on the grid. See how many disqualifications we get this time. So we'll just wait and see now. As here we go, and the lights are green, and the drivers are off on their formation laps. There is a little prediction on the screen. I don't know if everyone else can see it, but they are saying a one-stop or two-stop. So we'll see what drivers are on now. As expected, majority drivers on mediums. The only drivers that try something different here is Nigel Piddle, Cruiser, and Snedden, who have all elected to start on the hard tyres. Every other driver is on the medium tyres. So just run through the grid again. P20 we've got Fish Sticks, P19 I'm Not Good, P18 we've got Mongo, P17 we've got DTF1 Days, P16 Panic Hands, P15 Davey Dollface, P14 Force Manure, P13 RWS Yorkie, P12 Snedden, P11 Cruiser, and our top 10 for the main race is P10 we've got Adrian, P9 Diamond, P8 Silverside Boy, P7 FPL Locker, P6 Tiddlewink, P5 Magsy, P4 for Nigel, and our top 3 for the main race is Revenge Zillan P3, Junior Vane P2, and the Young Scotsman Brookie Mellon P1.
Thank you for that, TJ. Wasn't a very long break there between the sprint race and the main race. There's a bit of a longer break we had between qualifying and the sprint, but there we go. And yeah, lovely rundown of the grid, of course. It's all changed from that sprint, of course. Fishsticks now bringing up the rear. Adrian, who was previously at the back of the field, now in P10. Quick look at the tyre choices then for the start of this race. And the majority of the field going to the mediums. 3 drivers on the hards. Nigel Piggle, Cruiser, and Snedden. Nigel Piggle expect from that P4 then to struggle down into turn 1. But of course, TJ, it is a much shorter run to turn 1 than we see on some other tracks.
Yeah, definitely. As Brookie gets himself disqualified again. I did try and see him angle the car towards Junior Vane, but he unfortunately failed that one. But yeah, it is a very short run down. It's all about the getaway here. If you get bogged down at start, then you are going to lose the places. As we haven't got as many drivers. Oh, I think I just cursed it there slightly.
Well, here we go then. I'm Not Good. He's going to pull up into his grid position. Last and Fishsticks beat him to the punch. We are going to get 5 red lights then for the start of this main race and here in Zandvoort. And it's lights out, away we go. Silverside Boy has jumped the entire field with that drive-through penalty there. And perhaps that hampered Johnny Vane, or I don't think was expecting And AlphaTauri's come flying past him from the 4th row on the grid, but he is now ahead and in the lead with a drive-through penalty. Brookieman has managed to hold on to that first place, and it's FPR Locker that's round and out then at turn 4. A full track yellow, which we know, TJ, means some kind of safety car. It is a virtual safety car. Thanks for telling us once again. And of course, go on, carry on, TJ.
There's been an incident between Adrian and David as well, coming out of turn 5, I'm going to say. Both drivers were pretty much stuck in each other. I'm not sure what's happened there, but both the races have been ruined as Adrian drops it again.
It is just a virtual safety car at the moment. Adrian right at the back of the field now, not going very quickly at all. As you mentioned, the collision between him and David Lawface. It'd be interesting to see where that occurred, of course, because if it was during the virtual safety car, that would be very interesting. But Silverside Boy, of course, leading at the moment, will have to serve that drive-through penalty. He went miles ahead of everyone else. He's coming to the pits. Is he allowed to serve a drive-through under virtual
I
safety
don't
car?
think he can. I don't think he can serve under a virtual safety car. No, he can't.
The team have come out. That's gone well. Changing the tyres anyway. Perhaps looking to run until the end. Got to put the hards on.
He's messed his own race up here, Silverside Boy has. I'm not quite sure what he's thinking there.
Adrian gets a 5-second penalty for speed in the pit lane. Will that lead to a retirement? Yes, it does. There we go. And the track is green, and we are racing once again then. So, as I mentioned, Nigel Pickle starting those hard tyres. We thought he would fall back through the field, but he's actually made up a place in. On Revengilla now, who's all over the back of him, trying to reclaim that 3rd place. But it is currently the Alpine in 3rd at the moment. Brookieman is just over a second ahead, just under a second now ahead of Johnny Vane in P2. That DRS, of course, will be activated at the end of this lap. It isn't reset with a virtual safety car as opposed to a full safety car, so he will get that benefit if he does stay in that gap. I think there's been an incident for David Longface and down in P16. It looks like he might have dropped it on his own accord.
Yeah, that's right. He just the traction got a bit too much for him, and his rear just went.
Here comes Revengezilla then with the tow and the ERS usage against Nigel Pickle, looking to make it the hard way around the outside, cut back in to follow the Alpine. Couldn't get the job done down to turn 1. As you mentioned, TJ, it's really hard to know. He's taking a very different line there, though. Clever racing, trying to get a bit more speed down this straight, but it's hard to work out where another overtake can come from if it's not down into turn 1.
Yeah, you've got a potential couple of corners like it goes deep, potentially sent if you've got the balls to do it, lines up the inside. But yeah, it's such a old school hard track where there isn't many overtaking spots, and it is your driver's skill and what you can do around here.
Yeah, definitely. Silverside Boy has just been in them to serve that drive-through penalty, which we saw him cheekily try to serve with a virtual safety car. You're not going to get away with that one, my friend, unfortunately. You have had to come back in and serve it under green flag conditions then. And Nigel Pickle's definitely struggling against the top 2 here. He's already a second and a half back. The best thing that Revengilla can do for his race here is clear this Alpine as soon as possible. And he's dumping a lot of battery to try and get the move done up the inside, then into turn 1. Will Nigel try and hang it around the outside? He does. They're still side by side, and Revengella's going to have to get his elbows out here. But Nigel Pickle keeps it up the inside. Bit of contact between them. And I don't think Nigel can argue with that move, to be fair, by Revengilla. Plenty of room between the pair of them. It looked like Nigel was just struggling those hard tyres and understeered slightly into him.
Yep, as you're commenting about that, Snedden is continuing to have problems on this track. He just dropped it coming up through the final corners, managed to get it back on track, and then just dropped it again coming through turns 3 and 4. So the Aston Martin driver is really struggling around here.
P16 now then for Snedden, who didn't have a very eventful sprint race, is having an even worse main race as well then. Here we are then, the top 5 covered by just less than 4 seconds at the moment. But Revengula now, he has got past Nigel Piggle, needs to put some work in to get close to the top 2, who are now very close as well. And Johnny Vane looking to make a move here up the inside of Brookhymin down into turn 1. Where's the pace gone from that pass that we saw in the sprint race? Johnny Vane very nearly getting the move done there.
Yeah, as you're speaking about that, Yorkie and Diamond are battling for P6 and 7. Yorkie went from moving to turn 1 and Diamond left the space, but then did really well. This battle's continuing on around through the following corners. Diamond does have the better ERS though.
Yep, and of course we know that ERS will definitely come into play then. We are following the top 2 at the moment, and will Johnny Vane, let's have a look to see what the ERS situation is between these two. And Brookhymin's doing a fantastic job of holding on to his ERS at the moment, perhaps explaining why he's a little bit slower than we would expect. He's got nearly 90% in that tank at the moment compared to Johnny Vane, who's still got a healthy, respectable 60%. But of course, it gives Brookhymin just a little bit more to play with when it comes to the defence from that McLaren at the moment. And while these two are scrapping, of course, this plays into Avengilla's hands, who's gained half a second then on that last lap, looking to get amongst the fight for the top 2 now.
Yeah, once again, as you mentioned, they've not as much together, but the top 4 and 5 have really put a good show on here. Panican's trying to get moved on Mongo to turn 1 here. He struggled. Mongo went late in the brakes and has managed to keep the position.
Johnny Vane gets very squirrely on the exit there, very nearly drops the back end. Down to turn 1, TJ, there's a little bit of an incident between Max and Nigel Piggle. You've seen Nigel get his shoulders out a couple of times now when drivers are trying to get past him. Of course, those medium tyres are going to be a bit more handy than the hard tyres at the moment. And yeah, Magsy now is over a second back from Nigel Piggle, where he was a few hundredths of a tenth. And yeah, I mean, Magsy, He's been left out high and dry there, really, by Nigel Piggle. And now he's dropping back into the clutches of Diamond. I wonder if he's got any damage to that Alfa Romeo that we don't know about, because he's really struggling after trying to get that move done.
Yeah, I'm just on board with him now. When he's taking that corner, it just looks like he couldn't turn the car in. So maybe he's got some wing damage, or maybe some floor damage or something that we can't see, as you say. Yeah, he's certainly losing pace. So yeah, I do agree he's got some damage somewhere.
Yeah, he's lost another 3 tenths of Diamond in the final sector there. So this is really unfortunate for his race. He was having such a good race as well. Keeping up with the top 5, top 4, and he's now struggling, falling back to 6 as well. One driver we haven't touched upon so far, TJ, LWS Yorkie. Great start from him then. Only starting P13, but up to P7 already, and on the back of Diamond then for P6 now.
Yeah, I've mentioned Yorkie a few times, and he keeps trying to look for moving to turn 1, but Diamonds is he has got the greatest DRS currently. He is needing to drain it to keep ahead, so it's working into Yorkie's hands here. Yorkie's getting the better traction on some majority of these corners here, so I think it's only a matter of time before he gets the move done.
We're now on lap 7 then of this 36 lap main race here, the Tier 3 priority race, in which I think just half the grid are made up of Tier 3 drivers, unfortunately, this evening, but that's what you get when you don't sign up to your own race. So quite a few Tier 2 drivers putting their skills on show here, and don't get me wrong, there's a few Tier 3 drivers as well mixing it up with the Tier 2 boys at the moment. Magsy and Diamond doing a stellar job at the moment representing Tier 3 as it stands. Mongo as well up 9 places then. P9 at the moment for Mongo in the Ferrari. Great start from him as well, and able to keep up with Tiddlewink at the moment, but not looking too shabby either, TJ. And while these two are fighting out in front, Revengula is nearly within a second then of Johnny Vane now in P2 as Days has retired on track then.
Yeah, I didn't quite see what happened to him, so I'll just jump on board with David.
It's a full safety car. It's a full safety car, TJ. So it's...
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
Oh, they've had the Delta. They've had the Delta glitch as well. That's really helpful. Everyone coming to a complete standstill. There we go. Speeding on the safety car. Fantastic.
Yeah, I need a really good think about this glitch.
Yeah.
This is the second race I've seen it now, and you've got literally no time to react, especially as a car in front of you. You literally have got to come to a full stop. You saw, and
Mongo had Paniken right behind him when that safety car come out. Mongo has picked up a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car. Everyone else managed to avoid it, but I mean, Paniken was pretty close to him. David Oldface has now picked it up as well. I don't know, but we've got drivers in the pit lane anyway. Brookhyman coming in, Johnny Vane and Revengezilla as well. Then, of course, I'll have to hit the magic button to time it perfectly onto the hard tyres. That looked like a good stop for the Mercedes team. Will they jump the McLaren? No, they won't. He will rejoin behind Johnny Vane then in P10 now. I'm not good's going to try and get ahead of them round turn 1. He does just about come out ahead of his teammate then into P9. But this safety car... Oh! What have I just seen from my... What was that?
Okay. I think that was part of his glitch with steering wheel, like shifting up and down, and perhaps he couldn't shift down, but... That was interesting.
Yeah, I'm not good having a collision completely all by himself there. That's not what you want to see in a race, and that's definitely not what he wants to see in a race either.
I'm not good in the Twitch chat. It's backing up exactly what I said. I won't repeat what I said. We are a PG stream after all, and it's stupid star wheel.
Okay, well. That's a shame. That's a shame for him. Hopefully he can get that sorted before the points count in the main races. We're on lap 9 of 36 here. We're at a quarter distance now of this race. Nigel Piggle leads the way at the moment on those hard tyres which he started on. And Magsy still on the medium tyres. Diamond 2, Yorkie as well. Mongo now coming into the pits then. I don't know if he's trying to serve that drive-through, but it's not going to work under a safety car. Unfortunately, he will change tyres, and he has done onto the hards. Panic End as well hasn't pitted, nor has Cruiser. And then everybody below that has come into the pits for a service. And it is still Brookie with the net lead then from Johnny Vane and Revengezilla TJ. But do you think those drivers that have pitted for those mediums now can take them till the end of this race?
I don't think the mediums can now. Yeah, actually, they probably can, but I imagine they'll be in a lot of pain by the time we come to the end. The hard runners will definitely get to the end at this point, but the likes of Silside Boy, who's come out on the mediums, I think he'll need to pit again, probably around lap 30, perhaps stick a set of softs on and have a sprint race to the end. But yeah, so I mean, being P14, he needs a miracle at this point to really save his race.
Does that make you think then, TJ, why is the likes of Silside Boy down in P14, 13 seconds off the back of the field at the moment? I know we're under safety car conditions, but he hasn't come in to put those hard tyres on. He could run till the end and make a race out of this now, but as it stands, he's got to make another pit stop. Why has he not come in?
I'm not quite sure, unless he genuinely believes he can get and last another 27 laps. It's asking a lot of them tyres, and I'm not quite. Unless he genuinely thinks that he's hoping for like a safety car later in the race, that he can use his advantage to come in to put another set on. But yeah, I'm saying with you here, I'd be going back in the pits, putting a set of hards on, and just running to the end.
I mean, and now as well, TJ, these top 6, okay, they've not stopped yet. I wouldn't expect Nigel Piggle or Cruiser to come in either, because they're on the hard tyres, of course. And as you mentioned, they won't get those medium tyres till the end of this race now. But for Magsy, Diamond, Yorkie and Panic End, what do they do now? What is the strategy? Can they go medium soft? I mean, is that an option? Is that why they're hanging it out there? Or do you think they've genuinely got to stop again and go onto the hards and lose so much time when the rest have saved so much with this safety car?
I think at this point we've got to try the medium soft. But once again, you're talking
maybe another 15 laps on these tyres and before they even start considering putting the softs on. The softs do 12 laps in the sprint, so then maybe they can try that. It's a tough one for these guys. They'll be definitely hoping for another safety car. But yeah, once again, I don't know why they haven't taken advantage to put the set hard on once the end.
We'll have to continue on around. And it's a big shame for them. Their strategy looks like it might have gone out of the window here, but you never know. We might get another safety car, as this safety car then is going to peel into the pits then at the end of this lap, which makes Nigel Pickle, of course, as we all know too well, the de facto safety car then will now continue on round and get us underway then. Will he choose to back up the pack? Imagine Magsy behind won't have fantastic tyres to make a challenge to that Alpine driver down into turn 1, but can he catch the napping? And he has gone then, and he has indeed caught Magsy napping slightly then, and the fight is really going on behind here. Panic end looking to get amongst the action down into turn 1. There's a Haas on the grass as well. Down into turn 1 there's also Haas nearly round as well as Cruiser, who's just managed to save from hitting the inside wall. Johnny Vane's had a moment. And Johnny Vane has dropped to 12th place. A collision, I think, with the spinner of Cruiser. There it is at the top of your screen. A penalty for Cruiser in all of that. But that's a bit harsh for me, that is, TJ.
That's harsh, yeah, because Cruiser spun, saved it, come back on track, and Junior Vane spun, hit to Cruiser, and Cruiser's been punished for it.
Johnny Vane then down to 12. He was a net second when the pit stops all panned out at the end of this race, but now is very much out of the fight for the win, and it's now Revengezilla that's now the challenger to Brookie in P6, the net lead of this race, to perhaps try and get himself on the top step. But Brookie is definitely making Anakin's life a bit of hell at the moment, all over the back of the diffuser of that Mercedes ahead of him. Panic, of course, the teammate to Revengezilla today. It means absolutely nothing today, of course. There's no points up for grabs for the season, and Panic doesn't make Brookieman's life too difficult, and he does breeze past him and down into turn 1.
Yeah, fantastic move from Brookie, showing his pace there. Imagine Revengezilla will falling through in this next lap. Snedden is still struggling, even on them soft tyres. To be honest with you, there isn't many more moves going up and down the track. Junior Vane on the pit. Put a set of softs on, so he's got to stop again as well.
Now all this, TJ, while we've been speaking about these front runners as well, and everything that's going on at the moment, Fishsticks has pitted. He's got rid of the medium tyres. He's on to the hard. He doesn't have to stop again before the end of the race. Technically, on pit stop, he's now a net P3 somehow.
Yeah, that's fantastic for him, the Alpine driver. Obviously Tier 2 last season, before he can drop to Tier 3 for this season. As we have got a spinner towards the back, I think it's for Spanior. But yeah, he has got the pace, as we know from last season. He is a good defender. So net P3 for the Alpine driver, he'll be over the moon with that.
Here's Revengezilla getting very feisty with his teammate, and absolutely no gifts there from Panic and shutting the door on his fellow Mercedes driver. Meanwhile, Zilla's competition up ahead. Brookieman looking to make a move on Diamond in an orthodox overtaking position. Forces Diamond onto the grass there, a little bit cheeky from Brookieman. He perhaps knew he had the pace and the tyres to work in his favour and force his way through there. If I was Diamond, I would not be too happy with that move there from the Haas driver, but he has made it, and he is up into 4th place then.
Yeah, I'm saying with you, that was a little bit dirty from the young Scotsman, that was. He knew exactly what he was doing there. So yeah, I'd be a bit angry if I was Diamond, but he just needs to try sticks the back of Brookie now, continue picking that DRS up, and see if he can pull him forward and up to the likes of Yorkie and Magdi. Revengezilla, as you mentioned briefly,
he's been absolutely hammered by his teammates here. He needs to try and get us moved on this lap, ideally.
Brookie Mint into the pits. Brookie Mint into the pits. 5-second penalty coming into the pits as well. This is a very interesting point. I don't know if he got any sort of damage with that. He looks like he's putting on the soft tyres. And I think there is a front wing being ready. There is. So he did get damage then. From that overtake on Diamond into the pit lane. Set of the soft tyres. He's not going to get to the end on those either. So surely that's another pit stop as well in waiting. And Brookie Min has just gone from being in the net lead at this race. Nigel Pickles retired as well. In sector 2, a full track yellow once again, a safety car once more.
I'm not quite sure what's happened to. I'm not quite sure what's happened to Nigel. I can't see his car. His front wing is on the track, and his car is miles off track. I'm just trying to run forward Mongo now so you can see where his car is.
Yeah, I'm riding about it Mongo as well. I can't see it.
I can see, but that's such a strange place to go out. I can only imagine it's like that him and Mags have either coming together and it's just knocked his front wing off.
Well, Magsy now choosing to come into the pits, of course. Yorkie as well. So too does Diamond. I imagine this will be for the hard tyres till the end of the race. It is indeed for, at least, Magsy. Diamond onto a set of... Oh, I did say softs. It's now onto a set of hards. Yorkie onto a set of softs. Interesting pull from him with 20 laps to go until the end of this race. But at the huge talking point in all of that, of course, apart from Nigel Piggles' accident, is definitely what happened to Brookie there. Back into the pits, perhaps to put those hard tyres back until the end. But what happened to him there? He got the damage, I think, from overtaking Diamond, which we thought, TJ, up in the commentary box at least, looked a little bit audacious, but I didn't see any collision between the pair of them.
No, in the Twitch chat, he's put Diamond just punted me. I mean, from our point of view, if anything, Brookie punted Diamond off track. So I'm interested to see what has happened from both drivers' point of view there, because actually from our point of view, it was Brookie's doing, if anything.
That was a very interesting 10 minutes. Well, not even 10 minutes, 10 corners, just of the race. Nigel Pickle retiring, Brookman with the damage. When this all plays out at the end, Fringilla out in front at the moment technically doesn't have to pit again, but has 7 lap older tyres now compared to Maxi Diamond and Panic End in P3, 5 and 6. Yorkie on the set of soft tyres will have to stop again. He will not get those till the end of this race. Silverstar Boy in P2 as well. Honest, that set of mediums, TJ, that he did not choose to get rid of. Now we've had Silverstar Boy come into the pits to change his tyres. It took him a very long time to do so. So now he's out of the running as well. So now Magsy in P2 looks like the best bet at the moment with those tyres at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not quite sure why Silverside Boy hasn't pitted sooner. I mean, once again, he's done his classic let's pause on AI and talk in the Twitch chat because he's put guess who's back again. So maybe he puts off an AI and completely missed the pit lane.
And I have noted he has come into the pits to get rid of those medium tyres. He's got back onto the hards, which have already got 6 laps on them, TJ. So perhaps he was thinking they wouldn't get him until the end if he came in a little bit sooner and put those hard tyres on. Of course, this game only gives you 1 set of the medium, 1 set of the hard, and a couple of sets, of course, of the soft tyres. I don't think it gives you any new softs, but you can obviously get your qualifying tyres to use in the race, depending on how many of those that you've saved. So perhaps he was thinking, he can put those on to get to the end of the race. He has now, as you mentioned, come and put those on, serve that 5-second penalty, and back out in P12. Then safety car will take us around for another lap, TJ. We've had a defense in the Twitch chat from Diamond, who says, I didn't though. I got a swapper on in the hairpin after Yorkie got me. You hit it to me and then forced me off the track. Well, you know, as we said, TJ, we saw it all unfold on track. did look a little bit argy between the two of them. Perhaps it's just swings and roundabouts between the pair at the end of the day, and it hasn't obviously worked out for Brookie and all of that.
Yeah, I think if it's to have a lead race and sense of stewards, I think it'd probably go down as hard racing, but you know it's no penalty. I think Brookie definitely come the worst off from it. And yeah, it's not a spot you normally do an overtake on as you call out straight away. But I think it was hard, but I'd better say fair racing. As fair as it can probably get.
Yeah, as you mentioned, it's kind of one off, doesn't it, the other, so it's pretty much, 50-50 that one, and yeah, we thought it was a bit naughty from Brookie, and he's paid the price, and he's got that wing change, let's put it back out in P11, then have I just seen my friend trying to put it in the wall into the safety car?
Yes, you have. Oh,
so, oh dear then, so yeah, behind the safety car, Revenge are just lighting up the rears then. He's put it in the wall. I don't know if he's got any front wing damage from that, but a driver in the Mercedes dropping it under the safety car there. He's come back out P11. He's just ahead of Silverside Boy, just ahead of Brookman as well, but now Maxi then leads this race remarkably from looking like he'd made a complete error on that first safety car to now leading on the hard tyres, but he has got a very fast AlphaTauri behind him on those softs. The fight is not with that AlphaTauri, of course. He will have to stop again before the end unless he gets another safety car, but Maxi's gone early. He's gone very early indeed, and can Yorkie use that to his advantage? Looking to dump the batteries, both of them not going to work this time around, and going early means we don't have quite as much contact into turn one, but Brookie all over the inside of Cruiser, and there's an Aston Martin in the wall, Nick Snedden with the front wing off.
Oh, that's a shame because Snedden had a fantastic restart there, but he's just been struggling throughout the race. But yeah, all drivers got through that pretty cleanly. Revenge Zillam then made some moves in David Wallface. So yeah, Madge done a fantastic job of dropping York in that restart, but as you said, that them soft tyres on York, he's just flying. And York gets to move done.
Yeah, he's up the inside there. I think he's seeded the place now, but on the switchback, then looking to come back on the inside of the Alfa Romeo. Doesn't quite get the move done there, but it's only a matter of time now, surely, with that tyre advantage until that AlphaTauri is ahead. As I mentioned, he will have to pit surely before the end of this race on those soft tyres. Yellow flag out once again. It is Revengula in the Mercedes having another excursion on track, and he's round and dropped to the back of the field then in P14. TJ, did you catch what happened there?
No, I didn't see what happened there. I don't know if he dropped from his own accord, or he's got some damage from his spin onto the safety car. I am on board with him now to see if he does come into the pit. No, he's staying out. David Wallface has come in. I did see a front wing over the ground, yeah. So I think there might have been a comment to go between David and Zilla, because I did see a bit of front wing on the floor, and David had to replace his front wing.
So David then getting rid of that shoddy front wing on that Williams. It is working out in the end. They could have used different colours, you know. It's a bit hard to tell different colours sometimes, but yeah, getting rid of that front wing then will be joining 14th place with a nice speeding penalty against his name as well of 5 seconds then. But it is Yorkie who leads out in front at the moment, just over a second ahead of Maxi in P2 as it stands, looking well at the moment are Maxi, Diamond and Panic N, both for tyres and track position as well. Fishsticks had come in as well in all of that to put a set of the mediums on. He'll be hoping to take those till the end of this race. Fingers crossed. He doesn't want to pit again from P6 as it stands, and he could get a good finishing position here as Force Manure then off the final corner has put it in the wall. I don't think it is a safety car. We've only got yellow flags in sector 3 at the moment. No full track yellow, so no virtual safety car nor full safety car at the moment, which will be music to the ears of this man, LW Shorky, who needs to build the gap then to the rest of the field now, and using all the ERS in the process of doing that then, TJ. But what a shame for Revengezilla, who perhaps looked like he was the best bet for the win here today, dropping it behind the safety car and then coming together with David Lawface.
Yeah, absolute shame from a steady driver there. I mean, he shouldn't be disheartened. He's shown he's got the pace to keep up, as there's a links on the moment now.
P11. What's that? P11. Seven's Hamilton as well. Instead, someone running plumb last now, and yeah, hasn't had then the pace in both races really. He says he's struggling with this game. We'll hold our breath with that one until we turn up to Bahrain in his race, which will be next Friday in Tier 2. Perhaps we'll see whether he has managed to get to grips with the game by then, of course. But at the moment, it is still the fight out in front as Panic and then all over the back of Mongo. Now 6 laps fresher tyres and looking to make them to good use here, CJ.
Yeah, there's a taste little battle between Mongo here, between Mongo, Panic, and Brookie. All 4 drivers are pretty much going on the corner side by side during going through turns 4 and 5. Brookie is getting really frustrated behind Fishstick.
I think
his teammates are just...
He's just hit the back of him. There's a collision behind as well between Silverside and Johnny Vane. We saw Brookie kiss the rear end of Fishstick. I don't know if he got any damage, but yeah, as you mentioned, his teammate got back through on him. And I think Silverside boys got damage as well in all of that.
Yeah, I can't see facial damage, but yeah, I'm surprised if he has it. I mean, people in Tier 2 from last season will know that Fishstick is a very, very hard defender, and maybe that caught Brookie out then. He doesn't look like he's got any damage, luckily. He's got past Cruiser again, but he's just got to pick his right moment here to get the move done on Fishstick.
This fight then for 6th place is the closest fight we have on track at the moment. Paniken is pushing Mongo for that P4 as it stands, with a good showing here from Mongo in the Ferrari, and perhaps those tyres not working in his favour at this particular moment, but if he can take them till the end, definitely score a good haul of points here and a good finishing position. That'll boost his confidence, of course, into Season 4, which starts this time next Wednesday. It is the Bahrain Tier 3 race, in which we'll only have a field of Tier 3 drivers next week. They can be relieved with that one. Here's Bahrain that gets us underway at 8 PM next week, of course, TJ. And yeah, as I mentioned, Magsy, who was in Tier 2, then Tier 3, then Tier 2, then Tier 3, after some drivers dropping out here, there and everywhere, and looking like a strong bet in Tier 3. Really has got to grips with the cars this season and putting in a great showing, not only in qualifying in the sprint race, but again in the main race.
Yeah, I think he shouldn't be gutted that he's been moved up and down. It's the tight margins between the tiers. I think he'll have perfect line to Tier 2, and the chain may put me back down to Tier 3, you said. But yeah, I'm expecting to see Magsy challenging at the top for winning the Drivers' Championship.
He's being closely pushed though by Diamond, who of course is a fellow Tier 3 driver as well. While we discuss, of course, all the drivers in the field this evening, take nothing away. This is the Tier 3 priority race, so of course we will evaluate those in Tier 3 mostly ahead of the Tier 3 season, as I mentioned, gets underway this time next week. We're watching a move here by Fishsticks and Brookie Min. And big contact then. Cruz is retired in all of that as well. Brookie Min just seemed to throw it up the inside of Fishsticks there. Very frustrated, TJ, as you touched upon just a couple of laps earlier. A virtual safety car has come out then. And Brookie, diving up the inside of Fishsticks, tagging him, putting him round. And Cruiser, his teammate of all people, is the worst for it, retiring from the race.
Yeah, I think that was a dive from Brookie Min, as you said. But this stick's been a bit too early. It's one of them.
TJ,
I mean,
a lot of
yeah.
drivers, sorry TJ, a lot of drivers in the pits here, and one driver that's really benefited from this virtual safety car, LWS Yorkie, who we saw out in front, needed to take an extra pit stop on the soft tyres, and now he has done that pit stop under virtual safety car, back out in P3 on fresh mediums here.
Yep, absolutely fantastic. It's worked to his benefit, as you say. I mean, he as David picks up a penalty up, Yorkie will have absolutely fantastic traction in these last 10 laps or so. So yeah, it's the race is on to see if he can get number one.
Yeah, of course, he's showing at the minute 5 seconds back from P2. The gap, of course, might sort itself out after the virtual safety car set in with the driver penalty after the virtual safety car. We are green again and racing them, and there it is, the gap between P2, P3 now. Yorkie, who made the most of that virtual safety car, then the gap 3.8 seconds now with the tyre advantage. Can he come back here and secure the win today? It's still Maxi leading Diamond, leading Yorkie, leading now Mongo, who's got the move done on Panic and retaken that 4th place from the Mercedes man. And then back to Avengela, who we saw had those couple of mishaps earlier on, and then a big gap back to Silverside Boy, who's now back in the pits.
Yeah, Silverside Boy obviously back like he needs to pit again. Oh, he's pitted again. Oh, okay. I didn't realise he's pitting again. I know. Have I missed up? Oh, is he serving a drive-through penalty?
Unless he got one for speeding under the virtual safety car. I don't know.
Maybe. I've been thrown there because he hasn't changed his.
Check the race
director. I think he said. Yeah, I'll check the race director. Yeah.
There we go. We've got the race director, Michael Massey, on the job over here, ladies and gentlemen. Can you confirm, please, TJ? As I think Brookieman's had another spin then. The start of sector 2. His race has gone from bad to worse, and the sprint race winner, unfortunately, not doing the business in the main race. And now in P9, TJ's got some, Michael Massey's got some news on us on what's happening with Silverside Boy.
Yeah, he has got another drive-through penalty along with Snedden. But as this game is fantastic, I can't leave the race director anymore.
Wow, why not? Why not?
I am stuck in the race director and can't return to the race.
You don't see this anyway, T. Nothing's happening. Everyone's nice and spread out. There's not a lot going on. You don't see anything. No, but anyway, we have still got Magsy out in front at the moment, TJ. I'll describe to you what's going on anyway. 2.3 seconds out in front is Magsy over Diamond. Yorkie has closed that gap up then to 1.1 seconds now. Yorkie looking to make a lot of inroads here on the top 2, and as I mentioned, trying to get onto the top step at the moment. Then Brookieman into the pits and retiring after that mishap on the previous lap. He is in and out then of this race. Snedden might be joining him here into the pit lane in P13 at the moment then, as Magsy's going to lap the Aston Martin driver on lap 28 then. 9 to go at the moment here in this social race, which has been full of, well, a lot of incidents, it should be said. If we haven't had a lot of clean overtakes, we've definitely had a lot of mistakes and incidents, and it's provided at least with a few different strategies. Nonetheless, here this man in P3, who looked to be all but out of race win contention, but now is right on the rear of Diamond, and can he get a move done here on the back of the Williams?
Yeah, I'm behind you on the screen, but I'm going to. How long have we got? I'm going to dashboard and come back into the game. Give me a couple of seconds. This game was perfect and has no bugs.
Oh dear.
As I'm just letting back up. But yeah, I mean, look on the stream. York is over the back of Diamond here. It does look like a fantastic battle.
It is a fantastic battle. They're about to come onto the pit straight. I have no idea where you are, but Yuki's got fantastic acceleration out at the final right-hander here. Getting the toe on the DRS, of course, pulls to the right-hand side of the Williams and into the braking zone. Looks to get ahead. Can the Williams stick it around the outside? No, he can't. And it is LWS Yuki then into P2, and with 8 laps to go now, can he set after the Alfa Romeo out in front at the moment? Magsy, who, as Nigel Piggles just pointed out in the chat, has just lapped the guy who won the Tier 3 last season. Tier 3 title. Magsy, of course, P2 in the title last season. He might have had a smile on his face when he did that, maybe. Obviously, people contending whether Snedden should have been in Tier 3 in the first place last year, but that doesn't matter this time around. He's not in Tier 3, I should say, this season round, so have to try and wise up before the start of the season to compete with the Tier 2 boys then. But Yuki has got a bit of a gap here. 1.2 seconds then over Diamond in P3 now. Not quite making the gains he'd want to make on Mags at this stage. Those medium tyres, 4 laps old now. Not, of course, going to be as fresh as they once were, but they have still got some longevity in them. Yuki, we expect to be the faster driver, but Magsy is very much holding on to that ERS at the moment, and we know how important that is, TJ, to get out of the traction zones and gain some time.
Yeah, definitely. 6 laps to go, and yeah, Yuki has got a lot to do. I reckon he's taking a lot of time. Pazzo is eventually gets a speeding penalty, notability, and retires in the pit. That's a surprise.
So eventually retiring the pits then from P6. That will of course promote Johnny Vane to the wing, Silsal Boy, Fishdicks and David Lawface all up into the top 10 then. And his car very conveniently comes back out onto track as well. That's really helpful. Thanks for that game. Hopefully David Lawface doesn't come a cropper to that stricken Mercedes. He does manage to clear it very nicely indeed then. Not a lot of action out on track at the moment. We've got Tiddlewink all over the back of Johnny Vane, who is soldiering on after looking like he was going to be in contention for the win today. He's currently finding himself 20 seconds off P5 and 30 seconds off the lead of this race then, TJ. And as I mentioned, so much instance during this race, and it is mainly for the top guys as well. I mean, we've seen Brookhuman, Revenge Zilla, Johnny Vane all in the wars this race, the top 3 on the grid, and it's just fallen that Magsy and Yuki are both in the best shout of winning this one.
Yeah, it's fantastic from Magsy and Yuki. I do think we have seen not the cleanest racing between the top guys. I do think the guys are struggling with the fact that these cars are heavier, the wider, the longer. I think that's still catching a few drivers out because in the previous game, you imagine long boys of Mercedes and the Aston Martin, but in general they weren't as wide and they were lighter for definite. So I do think the drivers are still trying to get used to how these cars work and feeling what places you can really get moves on.
Yeah, but of course it is a social race, as we mentioned, and a lot of the drivers. This game, it's very clear to remember, it is only 2 weeks old. You know, a lot of the drivers are still adapting, as you said. It's not had a long time, but the game, it's 2 weeks old, but it's 2 weeks old to the people that got the Championship Edition, and it's only a week and a half old to those drivers that got the normal edition, and then it's only, you know, if you didn't buy the game straight away, you've not had a lot of time at all, and we know a lot of these drivers in the field didn't manage to buy the game when it first come out. So I imagine between now and next season, of course, with the driver draw this Sunday as well, a lot of the drivers are putting the time in to perhaps get a little bit clued up with these cars, and obviously have a look at the driving standards going forward into the main season. As you mentioned, TJ, there's been a couple of instances tonight where if it was sent into the stewards, it wouldn't be so favourable. The outcome for the drivers that might have to look at the driving standards slightly after this one.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I've warned all drivers already that, you know, just not race each other, but be a bit more careful and as you say, after tonight, some drivers need a look in the mirror at themselves just to pull themselves back just a little bit and, just get a little bit more clean, I suppose.
You heard it first, ladies and gentlemen. TJM 1992 head steward is asking for mirror selfies. Please send us pictures of yourselves in the mirror. That's what we want to see. Having got a long, hard look at yourself after this race. TJ wants to see some pictures of you in the mirror. Let's get it going. Let's get it going in the Discord later on. A David Longface retires then. 4 laps from the end. The start set. Please don't be a safety car. Oh, it's car. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear.
Oh dear.
And
oh my.
We were riding perfectly on board with LWS Yorkie, who was hunting down Magsy for the lead of this race. David Lowface's Williams was completely sideways, taking up 3/4 of the track. Yorkie, with nowhere to go, is now sat in a gravel trap, 3 wheels on the AlphaTauri. He is going nowhere, and that then is the race. There is, I think, a safety car out on track.
I'm not quite sure what safety car. I know why safety cars come up, but the safety car is literally going to be coming in this lap.
Maxi in the pits then. Diamond with a 5-second penalty. They're all coming in with 3 laps to go. Why are they coming in? Stay out!
If these drivers had sense, you'd stay out.
Well, they've all come in, so that it doesn't really make a difference now because they've all basically come in. Paniken's carried on, Mongo's there as well. So the safety car out with 2 and a bit laps to go, as we well know it will have to come in at the end of this lap. It was a massive impact for Yorkie. It was such a shame. I mean, he was very much on to take the win away from Magsy, but yeah, unfortunately, just a victim of the spin of David Lowerface. Of course, ghosting isn't on. It's not a street circuit, and Yorkie becoming a cropper then of a back marker's error. Some might say he should have been a little bit more attentive as to what was on the track, but there you go. It doesn't matter anyway. Safety car will be in this lap.
I think the most happiest man on this track currently is going to be Sniden. I've lost the amount of times that he's actually dropped his car and come in for front wings, and he's managing to pick up points here. He
is, yeah. Not that it means anything to him, of course.
No.
Picking up, he should get 2 points. He should pass Yorkie's car as he was lapped. But TJ, can you remember the last time we saw a Mercedes out in front on worn hard tyres and a car behind him on fresh softs after a late safety car in a race? I can't certainly think of a time in which we've seen this before. But Maxi, P3 then, will look now to get the move done on Mongo already before the safety car line. Down to turn 1, and Diamond looking to get involved at the inside as well here. 3 abreast into turn 1. It's Diamond that's going to come away better from it, but Maxi gets the best traction on the exit there and takes back P2 then from Diamond, who was getting very punchy on that safety car restart. And now here comes Maxi then. 2 laps to go against Panic End. Out in front, 19-lap-old hards, 1-lap-old softs. Get TJ. As I said, a Mercedes with worn hard tyres out in front and fresh softs behind. Never seen this before.
We've not seen this before. Never seen this before.
Never. And here comes then Magsy's still got Diamond all over the back of him, it should be said. And Magsy then perhaps looking to get the job done down to the next corner. TJ Paniken has absolutely no ERS either here. It's surely a matter of time before Magsy gets the move on Paniken. Here we go then. Down the pit straight. This is a force for the win, not the title this time around. But it's Magsy around the outside then. of Panic and Diamond getting the move done down into turn 1 as well. Panic and down into P3. And thankfully for Magsy, a lot of drivers chose to come into the pits, because if they didn't, he would have had to have a few cars to overtake on that restart. But he has got the lead back off this race, TJ, and perhaps it's looking very much likely that he will get the win here. Only 9 finishes though, with Snedden's car coming back in again. But I mean, he has shown fantastic qualifying pace. He showed he could keep up with the top guys in the sprint. And now in the full race as well, despite all the incidents that have gone on today, he's managed to come out on top, and he has put in a fantastic shift this race and proved he has got pace this season.
Yeah, definitely. He's put his marker down the red for the T3 boys and said that I'm here to be fighting for the championship. And I think the T3 boys should be really scared of here. Same as Diamond as well. I think the T3 boys should be watching this driver with a close eye. I believe he's Tier 3, I might have made a mistake there.
He is Tier 3 indeed, and Magsy weaves to the left and the right and takes the race win then from Panic End in P2. It's Mongo in P3 after Diamond served that 5-second penalty which he got after speeding in the pit lane. Tiddlewink P4, Suicide Boy comes back to finish at least in P5. Diamond P6, as I mentioned, after that penalty after finishing second on the road. Junuvane in P7 after looking very much like he was going to challenge for the win today. Unfortunately, could only muster P7 in that McLaren. It's Fishdix P8, shown fantastic pace this race, it should be said. Unfortunately, perhaps on the wrong side of a few incidents in this race and only picking up some scraps in P8. In fact, he's still scrapping with Snedden at the moment on track on this final lap, as Snedden or Fishdix will pick up. What are they doing? They're driving side by side.
Yeah.
Well, it's gone really well off the final corner here. Big shame for Snedden. It's not what we want to see on stream, let's be honest. We're trying to advertise ourselves to some viewers here. Okay? Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. As I mentioned, we're still trying to advertise ourselves for B2. What is going on? What is going on? But there you have it. That is the end of the main race here in this Tier 3 priority race, which thankfully was won by a Tier 3 driver then, Magsy on the top step of the podium, as I mentioned. And a great race from him, a great qualifying and a great sprint as well. And there we have it then. There is your classification for the end of the race. I've already covered those that finished and in the points. Revengula, Nigel Piggle, Fishtix, Locker, Snedden, Yorkie, Derry Lawface, Cruiser, Force Renewal, I'm Not Good, DTF Fontaise and Adrian, all not finishing then at the end of that one. Yeah, that's a lot of drivers that didn't manage to finish at the end of that race. But it was, TJ, a fantastic race at that, and you know, perhaps, as I mentioned it a couple of times tonight, we are looking then at a very competitive Tier 3 next season.
Yeah, definitely. I look forward to see how the first race ends in Bahrain. I'm going to say more than half of Tier 3 that could potentially be on that top step this time next week, so it's going to be really interesting. There's definitely a few guys that have from the marker down today, and the T3 boys should be watched and be scared of what the pace they've got today.
Yeah, definitely, indeed. Well, as we bring the stream then to a close, of course, we don't have interviews, unfortunately, for these social races. It would have been good to get the thoughts of some of the drivers ahead of next week, but of course, just a social race. We don't do interviews at the end of social races, but just quickly pop into the Twitch chat then. We've had Magsy saying, cheers, Yorkie. Gutted for you that DNF would have been a good battle. We couldn't agree more. Very unlucky with the DNF. Yorkie saying he was closing very fast. Just a rogue Williams that ruined it, and we couldn't agree more. Tiddlewink very happy with his P4, even though he spun in the instant. No, wait, what? So I was in the instant where they spun. Well, there we go then. But that is all we have got time for this week. We have got a couple more socials before the start of Season 4 then. We've got the Tier 1 boys taking us out tomorrow around some track, TJ.
Mexico.
Mexico, there we go, TJ. Thank you for that one. And the Tier 2 boys will take us around on Friday around another track as well. It's similar to last week. It's some kind
It is.
It is.
It's a track. It's a track.
It's a track on the game. It's got corners. You might see some cars drive on it. I should know this. There we go, and I've got it. Oh, it's the US of A. It's the US of A.
Oh, yeah.
It's just north of the Mexican border. Here we are. We are in Austin, Texas, of course. For the Tier 2 Priority Social. On Friday, then. And we have got the driver draw. So the Season 4 driver draw is this Sunday, for those people that didn't know and have stuck around to hear me and TJ waffling on. It is the driver draw on this Sunday. We've had the tiers confirmed. And I imagine when we get the drivers sorted on Sunday, we'll have a nice little thing go on our Twitter or something to say who's driving where. Maybe. I've just noticed in the chat Nigel Piggle saying I got points. Woo. Blanked me completely. And then a naughty word which I'm not going to read out live on stream. Thank you for that one, Nigel. But yeah, that's all we got time for. Be sure to tune in tomorrow. And of course, after all that has gone by this week, we are back with Season 4 next week. This time next week, it will hopefully be me and TJ introducing you to Tier 3 Season 4, getting Season 4 underway in FPRL. So make sure you tune in this time next week, 8 PM UK time for the first race around Bahrain. But thank you for joining me again, once again, TJ. I say it every week now. I feel like I don't need to say it anymore. You know, I'm grateful for you turning up, of course, and joining me on CodeComs.
Yep, it's a pleasure as well to join you every Wednesday. It's we've become a good pair, and I look forward to continuing through Season 4.
The bromance is real, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here first. But until next time, take care, and we will see you hopefully tomorrow for the Tier 1 social race around Mexico.